Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, welcome everybody to probably our favorite Purple Mortgage Guys episode of the year so far. Coming to you after the wild, crazy, and roller coaster game in Buffalo yesterday. Vikings come on top 33-30. And really, I don't even know how to explain what we witnessed yesterday, guys. Probably the craziest game, well, the craziest ending since the Minneapolis Miracle for sure. Obviously, it's a regular season game, but nationally, it sounds like being talked about is likely the game of the year. So many things we could talk about, guys. We could recap the game. I'll give you a brief, just I guess quick recap, and then we'll see what we all thought of it. But basically, Vikings scored first. Jefferson with the touchdown. Bills had a couple of rushing touchdowns and ended up leading at half by 10. Put us down by 17 in the third quarter. I think I did a screenshot at the time of the likelihood of winning. It was like 96% chance that the Bills were going to win at that point. Then everything started to change. Delvin had the 81-yard touchdown run. CJ Ham gets in the end zone. We end up on a crazy, series of plays. 4th and 18th, JJ makes the catch of his career. Odell style times probably 3 or 4 with the defender all over him. Game on the line. Improbable catch there. Then we have Kirk getting down to the goal line, sneaking on 4th and inches, and coming up short on a ruling that probably would have stood if they ruled it a touchdown or ruled him short. Then Josh Allen fumbles. We're hoping for a safety at that point, but we actually get a touchdown. We have too much time left for Josh Allen. He comes back down the field, almost give up a touchdown to him on that. There's a catch on the sidelines that was not reviewed. That ended up being an incomplete pass that benefited the Bills by about 20 yards. Let's see, we get into overtime, guys. We march the ball down the field, get down to 1st and goal from the 2. The Bills have 12 men on the field. It's not noticed till after the game. We get stuffed, backed up, kick the field goal. Joseph hits it. Then we come down. Josh Allen's running down the field. We can't stop him. Makes Eric Kendricks look like a corner or safety. And then he ends up inevitably throwing a pick at the end. Peterson gets the second pick of the day. I know I missed a ton of highlights in that brief 1-minute recap. But guys, that was crazy. I don't know how we come down from this emotional high to play Dallas in 6 days. But Goose, Tanner, start with you. What was your overall take after yesterday? And does this change anything of your opinion of the Vikings as we go forward?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that opinions haven't changed on this team. I don't care if you're Max Kellerman and hate the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. There's no way that you don't think that the Vikings are legit contenders now. They just went into, in most people's mind, probably the number 1 team in the league, beat them on their home turf in pretty crappy weather. And that's it, just the most incredible game. Regular season game, obviously. I don't think anything beats the Minneapolis Miracle, but
no.
The most incredible regular season game that I've experienced in my 20 years of fandom.
There's no asterisks with that one. That was a healthy Josh Allen. I think there was a lot of smoke and mirrors coming into that where they wanted us to think we were getting Keenum or maybe a limited Josh Allen, but that was the full Josh Allen experience yesterday.
But regardless of our win, it almost looked like the same Vikings team we've seen all year. This was just against better competition. We started really hot, took our foot off the gas, gave up 17 unanswered points to the Bills. And then Dalvin kept us in the game with his long touchdown run, ignited some momentum, a couple turnovers from Kirk Cousins, JJ's incredible catch. Like, there was just a lot of up and down throughout the entire game. And that's what we've been seeing all year with this team. This just happened to be against somebody that on paper is clearly probably more superior to us. So I am hoping that the Vikings do come down from this emotional high and get to work right away today already against Dallas, because that's a big conference game for us. And it does make me a little nervous, obviously. And even with the Minneapolis Miracle, we went into Philly and got our butts kicked. So hoping this coaching staff is truly different and can keep the team level-headed and forget this win. Celebrate it yesterday accordingly, obviously, coming home on the plane, but it's time to move on to Dallas.
Goose, what's your takeaway from yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. I didn't think that game on our Thursday episode, I didn't think we could play that incomplete of a game and win it. But they rallied. We overcame so much, like between the officiating and some bad breaks. It just felt like in years past, any one of those things happen and the game's over. And they kept fighting and making plays. I think the play that's been overlooked a lot is Delvin's run. I think without a quick score there, the game is over. We weren't able to sustain drives and finish. So to get a quick score like that, I think changed the game. And then, I mean, I just don't know if I've seen a single player make as many plays as JJ made yesterday that were just unbelievable. So, I feel like he's the best player in the NFL. I'd like to update my mid-season awards to Justin Jefferson MVP. He's insane.
There's no doubt after yesterday, if you watch those highlights, every catch he had was like highlight reel material. There was not, I think he ran one route that he actually didn't get targeted on. He was wide open, but for the most part, they were on the sidelines, up against multiple receivers, diving for the end zone. There are so many plays in that game, JJ and others, of course, that were highlights. SVP on SportsCenter last night did a highlight of the game. It took him like 8 minutes to go through it all, and that was just like play after play. It was, as a football fan, if we didn't care, that game would have been incredibly fun to watch. With us being emotionally tied to it, there was the highs and lows, but it reminds me a lot of that game, the Rams and Chiefs from like 3 years ago, I think it was, kind of back and forth. But this one had more crazy events. Like you'll probably never see in your lifetime again, defensive score like that from the 6-inch line. I mean, it was just insane. So,
do you guys ever like sit back and think about how, like, obviously we have no Super Bowls, but like how incredibly blessed we've been with like the amount of unreal talent that we've drafted within the last 25 years, going from like Chris Carter to Randy Moss to Adrian Peterson to, I was a really big Percy Harvin fan. I think he would have been really good if he could have stayed healthy, but then Diggs and now Justin Jefferson, who like 3 years into the league looks like a surefire Hall of Famer already. It's baffling that we get to go from player to player to player. I'm just hoping that the Vikings keep him happy and he's here for a long time.
Yeah. He's going to get paid just an insane amount.
Yeah. Name a dollar.
Yeah.
Name a dollar amount. We'll give it to you.
You guys find yourself yesterday. I know the game 60 minutes. Yesterday it was almost 70 minutes, of course, with overtime. But these games, they're so if you look back to the first few, I mean, that first touchdown, I don't know if you remember, JJ scored, like grabbed his hamstring, and the older audience like myself thought he was hurt. But I guess it's a thing the kids are doing on TikTok or something. But that does not even seem like the same game that ended with everything that happened in overtime, right? These games are so long, and it's almost with this team specifically, like you have to wait until the game's over and then process what happened. Because I got to share this with you guys. I didn't send it to you last night, but at the 2-minute warning, 4th and 18, like it was not looking good. Cousins had just gotten sacked on back-to-back plays. I started typing up a text and I said, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. Had already accepted the loss and that we weren't on their level. And then to fight back is good. Ultimately, just too many mistakes. And that was with 2 minutes to go. And then we see the Jefferson catch on 4th and 18. And there's all these little plays that had to happen. You could call it luck, or you could say we're creating our own luck, because we were very unlucky on a lot of those calls that went against us. But it's just crazy how the beginning of the game and the end of the game, all those things happen. And if you see like the chance of winning, it was just like an EKG machine from 90% Bills to 90% Vikings to, just the ebbs and flows. So what did you guys like? What was your takeaway halftime, going into the 2-minute warning? Like, I don't think anyone thought we were going to win that game at that point. So.
No, I mean, yeah, Caleb goes down. Booth's not looking good. Dalvin Tomlinson gets ruled out. I think when I officially had accepted the loss was when Josh Allen and the Bills converted to like 3rd and 15s when we really needed the ball back, one being Diggs's one-handed catch. And I was like, okay, if we can't stop them on 3rd and 15 multiple times, like we're not going to win this game. And I'd kind of done the same thing, Brent. I was like, you know what? It was competitive. That's all I was asking for, is we hung in there and we showed that maybe when a couple of these breaks go our way, that we can compete. But it's impossible to not want your team to win when they have a chance to win. And it was an emotional roller coaster. It was so much fun to watch. And the people that step in, like, Caleb played decent when he was in, had the turnover. Shelley comes in, and I was like, I think I've seen the article that said they elevated him. Other than that, I don't really know much about, like, he's in there in the last drive.
He had a huge play too.
Massive play and break up against Dawson Knox. I do think there's a little bit of what I talked about last week, which is I want our team to be better at adjusting when it's clear that they're letting the players play. Like, get more aggressive. Like, get your hands on. If they're gonna let the Bills, tug on the unis, then we need to play that way. So, but trying to look at the game outside of the lens of how incredible it was to watch. I really wish KOC would have gotten Delvin more involved. I think we went away from him early, and even like back in overtime, it was like drop back to pass, drop back to pass, drop back to pass, and it's like Delvin's still elite. He's shown that as breakaway speed, and I've heard the O linemen say that they would much rather be run blocking. So I think to take some of that pressure off, interior O line looked pretty rough again for Kirk to get stepped on twice. But I think to come out victors there is just incredible.
Where does this rank, guys, of all-time regular season games, Vikings history? Just anything you've witnessed, I guess. Only thing I could compare it to would maybe be like the Greg Lewis catch back in 2009, but that was just like one play at the end. Again, this was like, it was over multiple times. Like that last play before overtime, JJ we thought scored, and then it was clear he was short. And then I don't know about you guys, but I wanted him to run the QB sneak. It didn't work, or it was too close to tell. And then it looked like we probably lost. And Tanner, I remember you texting saying, "No, you just need a safety." And I'm like, "Yeah, we could get a safety here." And that happened. And then the Bills come down and almost score. Like, there's all these emotional roller coasters. I can't remember a game like that, even remotely close to that, where there was that many emotional highs and lows.
No, I don't think there's a game that I can even come close to it. There were so many plays that had to happen that all came through to win. Like, I can't think of a single game that even comes close to it.
All right, guys, let's recap our bold predictions we had on Friday, or I think it was Thursday due to the Veterans Day holiday. Goose, you had Delvin at 175 all-purpose yards.
Yeah.
He didn't touch the ball as much as you'd like, so you probably didn't see that coming. I don't know if you envisioned an 81 yard touchdown or not, but he got you close. Tanner, I think you had 6 field goals. There was 5 in that game. And I had 80 yards for Alexander Madison. That did not come close. I predicted a loss even with Keenum, so shame on me. I am officially on the on the bandwagon now for good. I don't think there's any taking me off after yesterday. Goose, you had us losing 24-20 if Josh Allen played, I believe you threw out there at the end.
Yeah.
And then Tanner, you had us winning a close game. I think we were assuming maybe Keenum was playing, but you got the W, so we'll give you that one. Guys,
I should have kept my mouth shut.
I did throw in that Veterans Day special extra prediction of Diggs and JJ. I did not see that happening to that extent, but I just thought Diggs would have. I even thought going in that last drive, I thought Diggs was going to score the final touchdown to beat us. I just had that gut feeling. So I was wrong. Guys.
You could tell that game mattered to him, though.
Oh, yeah.
When we were driving on offense, they kept showing him on the sidelines, and you could tell he wanted it bad.
Let's knock these rants and raves out, and then we can talk a little more about some other things. But rants and raves, guys, we always like to talk about what we liked, what we didn't. This game, we could probably each come up with 3 or 4 on each side, but let's just go one of each. Goose, I'm going to let you start today. One rant that you have.
I already hit on it. I need Kevin O'Connell to give Delvin the ball. Let our offensive line get moving forward a little bit. I'd like Delvin to have 20 carries a game.
Okay. Tanner, what's your rant?
So would you say like overall play calling potentially, or is it just like the usage of Dalvin Cook?
I don't want to say overall play calling because I feel like in general I've seen a lot more creativity than years past. There's still lulls in the game. I just think it's so hard to call a perfect game in the NFL. So I'm gonna keep my rant more so to just however you can get the ball in Delvin's hands 20 plus times a game.
Brent, I would like to hear yours first because I actually have a lot of rants.
I knew we all would, and I'm actually thinking like, how am I going to narrow this down and go with just one? But I'm going to just go with that. It was coming up to the 2-minute warning in the first half.
Okay.
3rd and 1. We have Delvin, we have Alexander Madison, we have CJ Ham, we have Cousins on the sneak that had worked, I think 100% of the time before that. It's 3rd and 1. And the reason it bugs me so much is because if we get that first down, we probably run the clock out. Even if we miss a field goal there, the Bills aren't getting the ball back. And we threw it twice on, I don't even remember the exact plays, but they weren't high converting, type of plays. And that really, I guess that bugged me more than anything when we have a chance to stay in this game. Probably could have even tied it up going into half. And then on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, we throw the ball and we can't convert. So I'd like to see either Cousins sneaking. I know it didn't work at the goal line. That's maybe even a different level there, but for the most part, run the ball, pick up the first down, run out the first half. So.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That was actually the first thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about my rants here this morning. I completely agree. The one thing that Kevin O'Connell does that separates himself from our previous play callers within the last 10 years is he has situations like that where he overthinks it. Like, it should be such a simple play call. Your odds of converting a 4th and 1 with a run as opposed to going 2 short passing plays on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 are probably a lot higher. And when you have guys like you've named already, like Alex Madison is a really good short yardage back, and Dalvin Cook is a top 5-ish running back in the NFL. So get them the ball, put your faith and your trust in them to go ahead and get that first down. And like you said, the Bills, after we got turned over on that 4th down, the Bills drove all the way down the field and scored again. And that made it a 17-point swing. I think it was 17. Was it 17 points going into halftime?
No, it was 14. It was 17 in the 3rd quarter.
So a 2-possession game, where as opposed to should have probably just been 1, because even if you don't score a touchdown on that drive, you probably come away with at least the field goal. So he's just had a lot of moments this year where I feel like he overthinks really easy situations, and then he follows it up with a phenomenal play call. Like, I really love the play call design that he had with CJ Ham on that 1 yard touchdown, drawing all that attention to Cook on the sweep. So play calling is one. The officiating is kind of a third party rant. I know that doesn't really.
Oh, that's totally eligible.
The Vikings specifically, but that felt very one-sided. I probably sound like a homer saying this, but I think if you're a standard NFL fan of neither team, rewatching that game yesterday, the officiating was very one-sided for Buffalo. I do think there are some calls that they missed in favor of us as well, but it was by far, I think, our worst officiated game this year. It was crap.
I cannot believe they did not review that catch with 40 seconds roughly to go. That was a 20-yard gain where, like, when you're catching the ball and hitting the ground at the same time, it's probably 50-50 that thing was, moving. They didn't even look at it. So
yeah,
I mean, they may have still gotten into field goal range anyway, but still, like, that's the game's on at that point. Yeah.
Gabe Davis catch. TJ Hawkinson was held on one of his throws in the end zone. Justin Jefferson, I think, was held on another play. Just top to bottom, I thought there was tons of missed calls that were game-changing plays. So,
yeah.
Something you want to say, Goose?
Well, it's hard to argue about defensive holding, pass interference. It's similar to holding for offensive linemen, where it's like, okay, it happens on every play, but the inexcusables, like reviewing that catch or 12 men on the field on 1st and goal in overtime, to not, and it's not a guy running off.
No,
like, that penalty always kind of bugs me. It's like, hey, the guy took, like, he was off the field in the first second of the play, but Aaron Rodgers gets that every time, which it should. It's the rule. But when you have 11 guys in the box and a corner out wide, like, for no one to catch that before or after the snap, it's just inexcusable.
Yeah. It's the back judge's job every play before the play snaps to count the defensive players on the field, and I can't believe. I agree. I'm glad that you sent that text to me and caught that. I'm sure that was probably a pretty swarming the internet after the game, but I didn't catch it during the time. But that is just like another example of like a game-changing scenario, even though we converted on it. But my other two short ones are Greg Joseph, obviously, is an issue. We can't do much about it. I still think he's better than anything available on the open market, so we're just going to have to gut it through for the rest of the year. And then our defense stifled again when we needed them to the most, but I still feel like week after week, Ed Donatel doesn't really do anything to adjust specific things that are hurting us. And in this case, in the second half, it's Josh Allen continuously running on us again and again, like very long plays. And I realize when you spy a quarterback that's mobile like that, you're losing a defender in coverage. But when he's hurting you as much as he did yesterday, I don't know how you can afford not to do that. And I can't believe that there's just no adjustments throughout the entire game when they just continuously let mobile QBs hurt us. So I don't think it's going to change this year. I'm hoping that Donatel retires soon. I think our defense has a lot of talent, and I think they are way better than they actually are ranked in most categories this year. But that's my rant. That's my last rant.
I was ranting about that during the game, Tanner. Like, put a spy on Josh Allen, and then I was kind of like, gosh, who do you spy? Like, he's faster than any of your big guys. He's bigger than any of your fast guys. Like that. Jalen Hurts, Kyler, I'm like, all right, throw Asamoah out there. And with Josh Allen, I was like, Danielle Hunter? Like, can he run Josh Allen down? Or it's wild. One thing I did want to play devil's advocate real quick on is I did have some feelings about the 3rd and 1, the 4th and 1. I tried really hard to not be prisoner of the moment, because when you do run like a play action and hit JJ on a fade route 18 yards on the field, it's like, wow, what a play call. Or when we faked the dive to Ham and pitched it out to Delvin, which set up the touchdown this week. Like, if he gets tackled for a 6-yard loss, it's like, holy smokes, what are we thinking? You have a yard and you're running a pitch play. And I think of Madison last year on 4th and 1 against the Seahawks, where he misses the hole and gets tackled for a loss. Like, it's really hard. You'd like to think that you should be able to line up against another team and pick up a yard, but I think that's what we were so frustrated with Zimmer and any coordinator who was under Zimmer is they felt like it's 4th and 1, run up the middle, 3rd and 1, run up the middle. And we were so predictable. And I think it's really hard sometimes to be like, Kevin, what are you doing when it doesn't work out? But I love that he's not predictable. Like you don't know what Kevin O'Connell's going to do. And it's hard though. You'd like to think that your guys could line up and get a yard. I think when you see Kirk getting stepped on by your guard multiple times in a game, it's like, do we have what we need to run up the middle for a yard? I don't know that we do.
It's very easy, and I think every fan is guilty of this. When the plays don't work, it's because they're the wrong calls. When they do work, it's, you can't have it both ways, right? So,
yeah.
Guys, we have to get in that game. If Allen throws a touchdown at the end, we are talking way different today, but he didn't. So we're going to talk about raves for the game. We've got we'll try to keep this in under 10 minutes here to wrap up the show. So what do you got for raves?
I'll go first on this one because this is very simple for me. It's Justin Jefferson. Goose is probably right. He is probably a borderline, like the best player in the league at this point. Like he is absolutely dominating every single game. And it's really crazy to me that a bad game for him is like 7 catches for 90 some yards, where that's like a very good stat line for any other receiver in the league. So he's dominating everyone he's playing this year. The Bills had a top 5 pass defense going into this game, and he wrecked them. And it's just like, I think we really need to appreciate like what we have while we still have it. So mine's Justin Jefferson. Amazing.
Bills had not given up, to your point on their defense, had not given up more than 21 points a game this year. They were averaging giving up 9 at home. We put up 33. So yeah, against the number 1 defense, like that's next level right there.
Goose? Which I didn't know that until one of our Bills fan viewers commented on our video last week. So interact with us. That's always fun to see. I think the Bills are a really fun team to play. Their fan base is, I think, super loyal, but also Brent touched on it last week. Human beings. So it's fun to talk football with the opposing side too.
The Bills are actually a lot like the Vikings, right? Like,
yeah,
they just can't get over the hump. I actually think they're a fun team to pull for when we're not playing them. So
yeah, I'm always pulling for the Bills when we're not playing them. Let's see, boy, it's really hard to go outside of JJ. Brent, I've got 2. Do you have more than one?
I've got 2 as well, Goose, but okay. I think JJ's a given. So
yep. Okay, so I'll go Pat Pete. 2 interceptions, big plays. I think his leadership has been huge for the team and our young defensive backs. And he kind of talked post game of pretty in-depth breakdown of his interceptions. One being Josh Allen gets out of the pocket. Pat Pete knows the rules, knows he can get away with some contact when quarterback's scrambling, gives his guy a nudge out of bounds. He's heady enough to know that now he's an ineligible receiver, goes find someone else to get in front of and makes the interception. And then I just knew that the only way the Bills weren't going to win that game in overtime is if someone made a big play, and he was there. So I've always been a huge fan of Patrick Peterson from his LSU days. I wanted him when he first became a free agent, and he re-signed with the Cardinals. And so even though it was in the twilight of his career when we made that signing, I was pretty excited, and it just seems like he's playing with a whole new level of energy this year. Sometimes it's a little much, but I love it. I love his fire and energy that he's bringing to the defense and giving him a little bit of swagger.
I wish we had a video of all of us watching that game as Peterson made his second interception in overtime. I yelled at the TV right before. I'm like, "Come on, Josh, throw a pick!" And like 3 seconds later, it happened. And I don't know about you guys, but it was almost like surreal. Like, did that really just happen? And give all the credit to Pat Pete on that again. So guys, I'm going to go the same one that I had the rant on. I'm going to give the rave as well. And I actually got another one too, Goose, but Kevin O'Connell, to keep the team fighting as much as they have week in, week out. Yesterday, probably the same exact like ebbs and flows of the game, just magnified because of the stage they were on. But to keep fighting and to stay in it and to come back, I don't know what he's doing with Cousins, but the previous Kirk Cousins that I remember, and you guys do as well, when he throws a pick like he did on that second one, where he basically just gave it to the Bills. I think he thought it was a receiver, but it wasn't, of course. After that, even in Philadelphia, it seemed like it was game over at that point and in years past. And then to see what he did in the second half. So I don't know if it's O'Connell or if it's Cousins. I'll probably give them both, I guess, the rave to just open things up, keep fighting, keep grinding, just throwing the ball to Jefferson. I mean, most of the time he was covered, but he just kept throwing him the ball and he kept making plays. So between the coaching staff, Kirk and JJ, which was Tanner's point, just a lot to be excited about. And hopefully the offense can continue to evolve and keep winning these games. So
I think it's crazy to see the national media on what a win can sometimes hide or a loss will cover up. Like the amount of times I've seen Kirk play an incredible game in a loss, and they just dog him so much. And then you look at his stats yesterday, like his box score is pretty tough. His quarterback rating's pretty tough. Some of those interceptions were rough. I think I would say it was far from Kirk's best game, watching every single game start to finish. But the way that the media is talking about Kirk and the Vikings right now is like, these guys are a Super Bowl contender. It's just crazy that if we don't get that fumble or one of these wild plays to come through, how that changes someone's whole outlook on how that player played. Pete, I think it was Pete Prisco was talking with Rick Spielman. It was actually pretty interesting. And Pete was like, oh, well, the Bills gifted this game to the Vikings, which is maybe true in some circumstances. But Rick kept saying, like, no, win is a win. Like, there's no asterisk, and you could just tell that Pete Prisco did not watch the game. He maybe saw the highlight of the fumble in the end zone, and it's like, man, the people that are talking on this level who didn't watch the game is pretty bizarre. But
well, you could have made the case if we would have lost, we gifted them the game with some of the bonehead things, or the officials gifted them the game. That's every game in the NFL. Yeah. That's football. So Tanner, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just touch base again how I did at the beginning of the episode. We got to put this one behind us. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun yesterday, but Dallas is a really good team, even though they probably didn't play the best yesterday against Green Bay. It's going to be a tough one. I'm glad it's in Minnesota. They have probably the best pass rush in the league, and I don't know about the status of Christian Darrisaw yet. He did not finish the game yesterday, so hoping
he concussion.
Oh, he did. Yeah, I thought I heard it was like an ankle injury or something, but okay. But yeah, good Dallas team coming in. Can't afford to let our guard down, and this really affects playoff seeding as well, since they're in Philly's division. So got to win that one.
Yeah, glad we're back home for sure.
Goose, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, just looking forward to a clean bill of health. Secondary got pretty nicked up. Hopefully Delvin Tomlinson will be back, help out the run game. And Darrisaw getting through concussion protocol. Seems like the team that wins it every year is who can stay healthy. And so I'm looking forward to that. I do think these guys that are stepping in, though, that experience is going to pay some major dividends down the road when you need to call on some of those guys. So on to Dallas.
Yeah, I saw Dallas opened up as a 2-point favorite in Minnesota. So I think that's actually a good thing for us, because I don't think you want to get complacent by any means. It's down to 1 point, I think, today. But Dallas is probably the toughest game on paper left remaining on the schedule. I think Buffalo was before that. So if we get through this next week, somehow get a W, then we start talking real seriously about how we get the 1 seed, and we need Philadelphia to lose a couple, of course. So be interesting to see how that plays out. Really excited about the team. I think all three of us are setting that bar pretty high now in our heads, where maybe a coin flip chance at going deep into the playoffs or even into the Super Bowl. So that would be awesome. See how it plays out. Injuries, of course, can change things in a heartbeat. So we'll keep chatting with you guys every Monday after the games and Friday leading up to the games, and see how everything plays out. So just a reminder, guys, we do actually do mortgage loans outside of doing these episodes. So if you are wanting someone to help you out with purchasing a home or refinancing, Goose, Tanner, myself would love to help you out with that as well. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. But in the meantime, we'll look forward to Dallas coming up this weekend. Have a great week, everyone, and we will see you again on Friday.